Hi, writers. Welcome to week 2 of experimenting with essay forms with me, Vanessa Martir. So, review of week 1. Last week, I introduced you to experimentation and essay forms. This week, we will be going deeper by looking at various styles of lyric essays. Fun, right? You may not know what lyric essays is. No worries. We are going to cover that momentarily. But a few things. We're covering a lot of material in 5 weeks. I want you to pace yourself, but also push yourself not to procrastinate. This is necessary work, and I know that sometimes we procrastinate out of fear or apprehension, but the only way out is in, right? Your stories are waiting for you to write them. So lean in a little day by day, little by little, day by day. You don't have to rush, but you also shouldn't drag your feet, all right? About the writing assignments, please follow the instructions on the assignments. It's okay if you veer off and write something additional, or if something else comes out of it later, that's great. But I'm providing these writing assignments for a reason, to get you to experiment with essay forms. That's why you signed up for the class, right? So please trust me to get you to do that. All right. And a few things. I've shared a slew of essay examples in week 1. I don't expect you to read them all at once. Take your time with all of these as well. A suggestion. Think about which form speaks to you most. Read these essay samples first, then explore ways that you can use the forms in your own work. Okay. I'll be providing a number of writing assignments to assist you with this. Okay. You ready? Let's go. So on to this week's lesson. So what is lyric essay? There's a lot of debate on this. Even professional essayists aren't certain about what constitutes a lyric essay. And lyric essayists disagree about what makes up the form. For example, some of the lyric essays in magazines like Seneca Review have been selected for the Best American Poetry Series, even though the poems were initially published as lyric essays. To put it simply, lyric essays do not necessarily follow a straight narrative line, okay? Like, chronologically, like first this, then this, then this. The root of the word lyric is lyre, which is a musical instrument that accompanied ancient song. Lyric poetry and essays are song-like in that they hinge on the inherent rhythms of language and sound. Lyric essays also favor fragmentation and imagery. They use white space and juxtaposition as structural elements. So again, what is lyric essay? Writing the lyric essay offers the author a swim in the pool of memoir, biography, poetry, and personal essay mixed with a sprinkling of experimentation. In lyric essay, the narrative might break up into sections and evolve and trail away into white space, poetry, and often repetition. The author's imagination can explode with possibilities. Lyric essay flourishes with the braiding of multiple themes. It's a back and forth weave of story and implication. The bending of narrative shape and insertion of poetic device, such as broken lines, white space, and repetition. According to Seneca Review, which is the lit mag that institutionalized the lyric essay, given its genre mingling, the lyric essay often accretes by fragments, taking shape mosaically. Its import visible only when one stands back and sees it whole. The stories it tells may be more than metaphors, or storyless, it may spiral in on itself. The stories it tells may be no more than metaphors, or storyless, and it may spiral in on itself, circling the core of a single image or idea without climax, without a paraphrasable theme. The lyric essay stalks its subject like quarry, but it's never content to merely explain or confess. It elucidates through the dance of its own delving. Loyal to that original sense of essay as a test or a quest, an attempt at making sense, the lyric essay sets off on an uncharted course through interlocking webs of idea, circumstance, and language. A pursuit with no foreknown conclusion, an arrival that might still leave the writer questioning. While it is ruminative, it leaves pieces of experience undigested, and tacit, inviting the reader's participatory interpretation. Its voice, spoken from a privacy that we overhear and enter, has the intimacy we have come to expect in the personal essay. Yet, in the lyric essay, the voice is often more reticent, almost coy, aware of the compliment it pays the reader by dint of understatement. What does all that mean? Lyric implies a poetic sensibility concerned with language, imagery, sound, and rhythm over the more linear demands of narrative. Essay implies a more logical frame of mind, one concerned with a well-wrought story or a finely tuned argument over demands of language. When we put them together, we come up with a hybrid form that allows for the best of both genres. Still, what does this mean? Let me tell you the elements of lyric essay. The writer of the lyric essay brings the reader into an arena where questions are asked. It is up to the reader to piece together possible answers and interpretations. Fragmentation allows for this type of reader interaction because the writer, by surrendering to the fragmented form, declines a foregone conclusion. The white space in the essays are invitations to the readers to come in. They invite response. The lyric essay requires an allegiance to intuition because we're no longer tied to logical, linear narrative or argument. We must surrender to the writing process itself to show us the essay's intent. In so doing, we reveal ourselves in a roundabout, often piecemeal way. So little by little. When we write in the mode of the lyric essay, we create not only prose pieces, but a portrait of our subconscious selves, the part of us that speaks in riddles or in brief imagistic flashes. There are techniques for crafting the lyric essay. The lyric essay is a subgenre of the personal essay. The writer creates the essay in prose using lyric language. The writer also uses an intimate voice, often by using the first person point of view, the I. Writers can use the following techniques to create a lyrical essay. So poetic language, it relies on alliteration and assonance and internal rhyme. Sometimes the writer will create fragments of prose and poetry, figurative language like metaphor and simile, imagery. The writer creates images of people, places, things, objects, ideas with sensory details. Prose that appeal to the writer's sense of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. Connotation. The writer expresses meaning through connotation, not explicit expression of the details. Questions. The writer poses questions to the reader who must answer them. Juxtaposition. The writer often juxtaposes different fragments of detail which have implied meaning. And finally, association. The writer expresses meaning through association of different things by using simile and metaphor. There's a few more techniques for crafting the lyric essay. Prose and poetry. The writer crafts sentences in prose using poetic language and rhythm. There's also reference. There's rhythm. The writer creates emotion by using rhythmic prose. Fragmentation, which I mentioned earlier, using white space or an asterisk or subtitles or an epigraph to separate sections of the essay. There's the intimate point of view, which is using the I. And the writer shares intimate details such as emotional truths. It answers the question, who does it feel? Why does it feel this way, right? And an inconclusive ending. The lyric essay often ends without answering the questions posed in the essay. The writer creates a lyric essay based on some theme. For example, the themes of Eulabis's The Pain Scale are pain and how to measure pain. She crafts this lyric essay by using poetic language and rhythmic sentences. She writes in the first person point of view and feelings of emotion. She writes fragments of detail, and each fragment is separated by white space or an asterisk or a number. The meaning is constructed by the accumulation of all the detail that she provides. So the journey of writing the lyric essay. Part of the fun of the lyric essay will be making up your own form as you go along. I've done it before and it's so fantastic and fun. But for the sake of argument, I'm going to break down the lyric essay down into 5 main categories that will encapsulate the lyric essays we see most often. They are 1, the prose poem or flash nonfiction essay, which we will be looking at this week in another video. The collage essay and the found essay we'll be doing week 3. The braided essay we'll be doing in week 4, and the hermit crab essay, which is one of my favorites also. I lie, they're all my favorites. We'll be covering that in week 5, okay? So this is the end of this video where we cover the lyric essay. Thank you. That's all, folks. See you later.